Okay, so let me just give you a little piece of history about this. I'm trying to keep my nerve, but I want to leave. A couple years ago, I was asked to be featured in an author blog, but she didn't tell me that one of the stipulations was to take a fairy tale and write it into an erotic poem. And so, because I'm a poet, she's like, you want it as a poem, so this 5-page double-space thing is a poem, and it's called PinHOEchio.
Speak, poet.
PinHOEchio.
We know.
Okay. So, if you aren't sure, my name is PoetrySpeaks. Got that? A talking block of mahogany wood was I, a companion to make me, someone did try. A carpenter created me piece by piece. He started with my toes and then my feet. From there he created my legs and thighs, my torso, my neck, my head and eyes. He put me all together, but before he quit, he added a little tiny wooden clip. He called me his beautiful wooden doll, and said I was perfect, body and all. He asked could I love him, and since he loved me, could we be close lovers and share company? But I didn't love him, so I just lied. I love you so much was how I replied. The moment I let that lie leave my mouth, I felt something tingling upon me down south. Seems my wooden clit had sprung to life. The sensation was wonderful and it felt really nice. I found it hard to concentrate on what the carpenter said, so I asked him quite calmly, please take me to bed. He told me that I had the most beautiful wood, then he lifted me gently from right where he stood. He carried me quickly down a dimly lit hall, while his carpenter hands made me feel extra small. We got into his room, I heard the carpenter say, this space is so perfect for where we shall lay. For many a year, my soul felt so dead, but I couldn't get the image of love out my head. Now here I am, the happiest man in the world, to be able to turn my wooden doll into a very real girl. With that, he leaned forward and he placed his lips upon mine, making my tingling get stronger and stronger this time. My stiff little body, so wooden and new, changed substances quickly, honest and true. From wooden and stiff to supple and smooth, I had an aching inside me he needed to soothe. His hands touched me slowly, then stopped at my waist. He looked up and whispered, is it okay if I taste? Not knowing the answer, I nodded my head yes. He then lowered his head and squeezed on my breast. A noise unfamiliar came out my throat, was nothing high-pitched, more on a low note. His tongue lapped at my center softly at first, but then he lapped harder and I wanted to burst. I pushed his head off so that he could no longer lick, then I pointed my finger at his long erect dick. Just give that to me because I can't take much more. The touching and teasing is eating away at my core. He smiled slowly at me and said, you're extremely right. Let's take a break here and turn in for the night. He then kissed me deeply before turning to lay in the bed for the night while I still wanted to play. And so I snuck out to find a new man because because teasing and games I did not understand. I wanted to release my aching sensation. My body needed a fucking hardcore stimulation. The first man I saw was taking a piss in the trees, and so I ran to him and got down on my knees. I begged him to touch me right down in my center. I'd do anything for him if he would just enter. He looked quite perplexed as he sported a frown. That didn't last long before he pushed me on down. He mounted me swiftly and plunged into me fast. A couple of pumps later, he just couldn't last. Completely disgusted, I pushed him off to the ground, got up on my feet and started looking around. I needed a man that looked like he could handle a pussy that once used to be wood. And then there I saw him just when he saw me. His eyes took me in and he smiled sexily. I walked right up to him and started off ripping his clothes. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we know.
It's a little longer than I'm used to reading as far as erotic goes. I walked right up to him and started off ripping his clothes. He gripped tight my hips and brought me onto my toes. He pressed his lips against mine, his fingers tight on my skin. I felt that sensation inside start to build once again. Our mouths pressed together to and lust for our sake. There was only so much more that I was willing to take. He pulled my hips closer and I could feel that he was erect, and I couldn't wait until the minute that we would connect. He ripped off my clothes and dropped down to his knees, stuck 2 fingers inside me, and did so with ease. As his fingers did things I hadn't experienced before, it felt like a monster was growing deep in my core. This monster was hungry and just had to be fed, so I took both my hands and pushed hard on his head. I pushed his head hard so that his tongue met my clit, and I shivered inside at the way he licked it. He licked it in circles every inch of my cat. I had to show him my gratitude and lick him right back. I pulled him quickly to get back on his feet. It was time that his dick and my mouth got to meet. I got into position and then stroked his dick with my tongue. His body got rigid and I hoped he was sprung. I started low on his shaft and traveled up to the tip. I even licked up the pre-cum that was starting to drip. I slurped at his dick and my lips felt his skin. I touched my entire face with his dick then again. This turned me on to the point that my core felt like fire. My body was hot and overcome with desire. Warm juices were flowing from my core down my thigh, and I needed to feel him, or if anything, try. I stood up from the position in which I was kneeling, turned around and bent over for a new kind of feeling. He walked up and he rubbed his dick near my clit, covering his dick in my juices before sliding into my slit. Upon initial insertion, I knew that he was the one to stop with the games and get the job done. I felt every inch of him as he rhythmically rocked with a sway, and I was so pleased with myself that I left the house to go play. He rubbed on my skin before pinching my nipples, causing goosebumps to cover my body in ripples. My knees felt unsteady and my body like glass. Then before I could crumble, he slapped me on the ass. I started to whimper and my eyes all but cried, but my body was shaking and getting done on this ride. This guy bucked from behind me as he let go of his seed. Neither of us dared linger once we were done with our deed. I skipped happily back to the house where I dwelled, snuck in for a shower in the case that I smelled, climbed quietly into bed to count sheep as I lay. I hope the carpenter kept teasing because I couldn't wait to go play.
Woo!